Hi, this is Joanna Gerard, Joanna Gerard Psychic. Thank you for watching. I actually made a compilation, if that's a word, of questions that I get every day from customers, because I do get up, when I wake up every morning, I usually have a ton of emails from people either thanking me for something I said that happened or just basically asking me questions about my services and how I work. So I just wanted to put it all in a nutshell and address all of these things so everybody could watch them. One of the first questions I usually get is, what is your background and how did you get started? I actually have a degree from the University of South Florida in mass communications, and I specialize in advertising. So I have experience with voiceovers and doing internships in radio. I also worked in advertising. I got hired for something I wrote. I wasn't necessarily some big marketing person, but I wrote something and I got hired. But I also had an interest in psychology and what makes people work. So I went on to become a teacher, and I'm a certified English teacher and ESE, which is students with disabilities. The way I started my business was I was born with it. It runs in my family. My great-grandmother was a psychic in Ireland. And since I was very little, I was seeing things and hearing things. I was just kind of a different, hypersensitive kind of kid. And what happened is I just got really into astrology. And to make a long story short, you know, astrology is complicated. So I would stay up all night researching and doing charts. And this lady wanted to hire me. And I really wasn't like 100% wanting to do it. She wanted to hire me as a psychic because the things I would write down would happen. And so I worked for free one day and it worked. And I built a client base, and that was, you know, 9-10 years ago, and it's blossomed from there. So that's how I started doing what I do. It wasn't necessarily a plan, but it just turned into something. My passion kind of became my career. Another question I get is, why won't you discuss past lives or spirit guides? I definitely believe in past lives and reincarnation, but the reason I don't talk about those things so much is because I deal with a certain demographic of people, and I've done that by design. I've marketed, that's my background in communications and advertising, my business to a certain amount of people, and I work primarily with business people, with professionals, with lawyers and entrepreneurs, and those are the people that they basically just want answers. We don't really want to talk about, you know, what you were in a past life and how it's impacting, although that stuff is interesting. I just don't feel it's really conducive to my business and where I'm going, because I'm pretty straightforward and direct, and I think that that's what people are really looking for with what I do. Another question I get a lot is, do you do spells? And you'd be surprised how many phone calls I get a week about this one. I do not do spells, and I made another video a couple years ago, and I said the easiest way to find a fake psychic is if they claim they're going to light a candle for you or take the spell off of you. I don't deal with that stuff. I might joke around and people might call me a witch, but it's not something that I practice or I'll do for my customers, and I am just a psychic and an astrologer. So I don't get into the voodoo so much, or the witchcraft. The next question, why does your website state that you are selective about who you read for, and how do you choose who you read for? This is a really good question, and I just had a situation the other day, so I'm glad that this one has been asked by one of my customers. I am a psychic, and I have a page on my website that, you know, says that readings are for entertainment purposes only. And the reason I have to write that is because every once in a while you meet somebody that's not too smart. And I happened to meet an individual, or she called me and bought a reading from me. And I said to her, basically, I don't know her, you know, I don't really have a horse in this race, so it doesn't really matter to me. And I said her love interest, it wasn't her boyfriend, her love interest had some sexual identity issues, and he might be interested in the same sex, which is fine to each, but I'm just the messenger. She went nuts and said to me, started screaming that he only slept with a transvestite once, and that I was wrong. Okay, so I let that go, knowing that I wasn't going to read for her again, because obviously she wasn't in my realm of demographics that I deal with. But she went on to complain to PayPal that I wasn't accurate because he's not really gay. I mean, it was ridiculous and laughable. obviously I won that. You know, she was trying to get her money because she didn't want to pay for the reading because I didn't say what she wanted me to say. And one thing, I mean, people that know me, if you read my reviews, is I'm very direct, I'm really right to the point, and I'm not gonna tell people exactly what they wanna hear. I'm gonna tell you what I'm seeing and hearing. Life is not a bowl of cherries. We all have ups and downs. I'm not gonna tell every single woman that her boyfriend loves her and they're gonna get married. And it's not the way it is. I tell people what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. So with that being said, I give everybody a chance to get a reading with me. But if I feel at the end of the reading that you and I are not going to jive necessarily, then I'll just refer them to another psychic or ask them not to contact me again, because they usually do try to contact me again because the stuff ends up happening. So, but it's a personality thing. I don't have that problem because I'm blessed with great customers. I have wonderful customers, creative, intuitive, entrepreneurial people that I deal with, but every once in a while you get one. And that happens, I think, with anybody in business. But that is why I have that little disclaimer on my website, so I can just cover myself in case somebody who's not completely all there tries to, you know, get a reading. The next question is why do you ask people their birthday when you start a reading? It's really simple. I read for many people. I forget everything I say once I say it. Sometimes I'll do 7, 8, 9 readings in a day. Your birthday, because I'm an astrologer, just kind of gets me into a vibration, and it's my own little system of getting rid of the last person I just read for and getting into your vibration. I don't have to ask a birthday to do a reading, but I like to do it because in my head, this is my little system where I'm starting a new reading and I'm dealing with a new person so that the energies don't crisscross over. How do you deal with skeptics? Well, that's a good question, but the thing is I don't really deal with them. So if they don't believe in what I do, that's fine. I don't care. You know, do your thing. I'll do mine. The only people that bother me are the people that might, and it's not really just me. It's like you look at famous psychics. There's people that are like on them all the time, constantly. And I just don't get it. Like, why don't you just have a life? If you don't believe in psychics, just don't go to one. It's just that simple. You know, I never chase anybody down saying, hey, you want a reading? You want a reading? They come to me. So, you know, skeptics are fine. I don't really think about them, and I don't think they think about me. And once I'm done working for the day with my readings, I can't say I keep talking about metaphysics all day or something, because it is my job, and obviously I'm human and I want to cut that off at a certain point. So I just, it doesn't matter who believes and who doesn't. I'm always going to have my clients, and they're really the only ones that matter to me. Also, how do you get most of your clients? Well, I do have a good web designer, but the majority of my clients are through word of mouth, because, you know, obviously I'm not like cheap. So somebody's not going to spend $135 on somebody that's not really, you know, don't know what they're talking about. So I've built a rapport over years with many people, and they've sent other people to me, and that's really how it's grown. But I do get stuff from my website too. How are you talented but yet so expensive? You'd be surprised how often I get emails about this. The reason why psychics are expensive is because what we do is extraordinarily draining, for real ones anyways. When I do 9 readings or even 5 readings, sometimes a day, a lot of times at the end of the day, I go to bed, I'll sleep maybe 11, 12 hours. I get splitting headaches. I have to drink a certain amount of water. I have to follow a certain system. So because I'm channeling and not just making things up that are going to make people happy, it's very draining on my physical body and my psyche. So I can only do so many in a day, and that's why most real psychics, I mean, are pretty up there in price, because it's not as easy as it looks necessarily. And I just have a couple more. Should I get a half-hour reading or an hour reading? People ask me this a lot. I usually say if it's your first time getting a reading with me, just get a half hour. It's cheaper, and I talk quick. So I don't, you know, it's not like you're gonna need the whole entire hour. I do have a lot of people that get hours, but these are people that are business owners, people that have, you know, legal things going on, and I've known them for years and years, and I'm helping them look at different personalities and different angles and stuff like that. But if you just wanna know what's up, you know, you're brand new to this or whatever, a half hour should be all you need. Can I ask questions in the reading? Absolutely. The way the reading works is I start off by asking your birthday. I talk, but I always say you can interrupt me at any point, because that doesn't bother me if you interrupt me. About halfway through, whether you had a half hour or an hour, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to ask questions if I haven't addressed them. Usually I do address them because I'm picking up on the subconscious, but sometimes I might leave something out. So people, as long as you give me a name or a situation, I can look it up and see what we can find out. And lastly, do you predict death? I never predict death. The reason why is, A, I don't think it's ethical to predict death, but also I'm not really privy to that information, because the way I read is I see a change occurring. And as we know, changes happen with all of us throughout our entire lives. So I would never say to somebody, oh, you know, your dad's going to die in the next 2 years or something. You know, psychics aren't God, and you got to be careful. You do, even though I'm blunt, you have to be careful about what you say to people. But also, the thing is I can't always tell. I've picked up on, I consider myself more of a psychic than a medium, but I can do some medium stuff. I've picked up people that have passed away, but to me, they're not necessarily passed away, because I'm dealing with this whole alter universe. There's no real time thing. So, you know, it's just, I see the mothers around them or whatever. They may not be, you know, or they might be dead, but I'm still picking up on that energy, because energy doesn't really die. So thank you so much. Hopefully I answered a lot of questions, because like I said, I get a lot of them every single day. And a special thanks to all my loyal customers. As you know, I'm loyal to you too, and all the many wonderful reviews you've written about me. Check out my website at www.joannagerardpsychic.com, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.